and in full 8 minutes. What I'll be presenting this afternoon kind of is in a dilemma, because the intent and the program was going to present on a model for ICT Guyana, but actually it was a government model for ICT Guyana. However, I did not move fast enough to get permission from the NDMA to present that model on behalf of the NDMA and the government of Guyana. So I went back to my original research. It started several years ago, which had to do with developing a model to advance CARICOM to a knowledge-based society by 2015. So I've been working on this particular issue for quite a while. So I will start with background, and then I'll tell you what the model is. Hopefully I get towards the end. And then in keeping with the thought leadership aim of these Turkeyen Tain talks, I would like to introduce a particular concept so that we can start thinking about how we can move forward in terms of thought leadership. I can tell you, because of my interactions and work with some of the best engineers, not only in Guyana, I'm talking about ICT engineers here, not only in Guyana but across the world, that we can do what I will propose. During the World Cup 2007, I was ICT manager for Guyana, and some of the solutions that the other Caribbean countries just could not come up with, in here Guyana or ICT leaders could not come up with them. The engineers that I worked with from government organizations created those solutions. When everybody was saying it can't be done, Guyanese would just say, we can do it. So let me start with background. So the private sector, the private sector has always been leading in terms of the adoption and use of ICTs. Governments, when I started my research in Guyana and across the Caribbean, were lagging. The lag in the use and adoption of the ICT presented some uncomfortable situations. For example, the digital divide kept evolving. We would have oftentimes thought that the digital divide has to do with the difference between access by rich and poor persons. But a piece of research that I done some time ago actually showed that in Guyana that there are several different dimensions. There's a difference between access and use of ICT between men and women, persons in their scribble, their rare bodies, persons who work, persons who do not work, and so forth. The other issue has to do with the imbalance in terms of access to ICTs across all the country, and also in countries across the Caribbean, Jamaica and Trinidad in particular. I think Trinidad has done some considerable work, and their access is a little bit better than the rest of the Caribbean countries. And most importantly, and Minister would have mentioned or hinted towards this, our business competitiveness as a country is not, of the highest. Oh, my technology is okay. So across the Caribbean, a lot of remedial attempts have been given some effort. Jamaica and Trinidad are ahead in the use of ICTs, Trinidad more so, and they would have invested considerably in technology. But after their economy kind of slumped, Jamaica would have gone ahead of the Trinidad. The leading countries in terms of e-government, the use of ICTs in government would be among South Korea, Estonia, and New Zealand. We in Caribbean are still trying to catch up. Our problem is that we tend to copy and imitate what other countries are doing. And by imitating, we could only imitate the obvious, those things that are obvious, the underlying philosophies, the cultural issues that enable some of these systems to work. We can't copy those. So within the Caribbean, Trinidad, Jamaica in particular, I know about those two, they would have suffered in terms of the models that they would have adopted. What we've been trying to do, what my research has been trying to do, is to develop a model that is local, that is organic to Guyana and the English-speaking Caribbean. So this introduces the topic of 21st century Guyana, 21st century government. The 21st century government is a term that I believe was introduced by the Caribbean Telecommunications Union. And what it basically does is try to situate ICT in government for the 21st century. So the topic of this Turkeyen Tain talk has to do with 21st century Guyana ICT 4D. So it's bringing to a current issue with some historical background. A 21st century government is one that makes use of ICTs in delivering services to citizens. It is characterized by a citizen-centric approach to the delivery of these services. And there are several design principles. I will not go through these design principles, but there are several design principles that inform how the services should be designed and built. The problem remains, the challenge remains in terms of how do we implement 21st century government or e-government. The problem has to do with the how. We were planners. We will plan a number of things, but when time comes for us to implement, we sometimes face some great challenges. And that is one of them that implementing ICT has been a great problem, not only in Guyana, across the country, across the Caribbean, and oftentimes in places like Africa. I'm not surprised that a lot of research has been done in countries like Africa in ICT 4D. So, in terms of a strategy that I would have adopted to implement or to design a model, I would have looked at what the private sector is doing and tried to adopt a private sector model to e-government. Wow, I've got 2 minutes more. So what I did, I would have been at a conference in Boston, University of Massachusetts, and they would have introduced this platform business model. The platform business model has 4 components that companies such as Uber, Alibaba, Amazon, these companies use, and I found a very good fit for e-government. One, because government do not produce any products, neither do they provide any service. The ministries provide services. So this model is built on producers, persons who produce goods or services. So ministries will provide the services. There are consumers, e-citizens, e-businesses. There's the providers, the persons who create the interface between the consumers and the producers. And then there's the owner. So government will be the owner of this platform. The model also emphasizes the development of an interoperability framework that government will use to facilitate interconnection between government ministries. One part of this framework has to do with the availability or provision of data from each government ministries that will provide the opportunities for private citizens, private businesses to use that data in innovative ways. For example, in South Korea, the taxi drivers, they're forced to use a government software to meter persons. But somebody came up with this idea that whenever the taxi driver sees a pothole, he will tap on the interface and the GPS position will be recorded. And that would have provided the Ministry of Infrastructure with information about where to fix. That would have gone far away I'm just going to take 1 minute opening, in helping their situation. The idea that I want to advance is this. We've been talking about ICT 4D for a very long time, since 2000. First they had embraced the MDGs and now they're embracing the SDGs. What I would like to advance is that we move from ICT 4D to ICT 4H. And ICT 4H is, instead of ICT for development, we should advance ICT for humanity. And I am very proud to be working along with the NDMA. And our mission, part of our mandate, has to do with enabling poor, remote, and hinterland communities. Once we get that right, we can get it right for everybody else. Thank you.